back, stronger than ever before. Come one cigar. With the only difference that now we don't have time to fuck around. So you see, like, the only time we got is in the car going back home from a full day of appointments and shit. Because, you know, we're actually doing shit. We're not just talking. And, you know, say hi to the camera also.
Hello, camera. I said hello to the camera, I didn't say hi. It's been a while since we did the last podcast. I really forgot how much I enjoyed these conversations. So I'm kind of happy to get back into it. Life has been very busy lately. Shitload of busy. So we kind of forgot the idea of the podcasting.
Look, you know, a lot of people give up from podcasts, like, and I was like, bro, am I one of these people that start something they quit? But it's not really like that, and I never really quit on personal brand or sharing my thoughts. Like, I've been putting content in my personal profile and shit. You know, it's all good, bro. But of course, we don't give up on it. We're just like in the building. And I think we had this discussion some time ago, which so many people, they talk and they want to get into personal brand and all that kind of shit when they have no credentials and they know nothing about life at all. And I also know nothing about life, but the difference is that I'm aware of it, first of all, and so I only talk for what I know, and I acknowledge the fact that I don't know a lot of things. And I'm not talking in terms of, let me try to build a personal brand, trying to inspire. I mean, yeah, maybe trying to inspire people, yes, but I'm not talking in a way of I'll build a personal brand to then sell something at the moment, or to then try to monetize the idea of personal brand without having anything in the back. Like, our main thing is building a business which gives us the business knowledge and whatever to then do whatever the fucking we want after, when we're actually able to show and motivate the people just by explaining what I do on a daily basis and explain my life.
You're kind of overcomplicating it. You could have said this thing in 3 words, but that's fine. That's fine, we'll learn from it.
So today, 2 men, half cigar. Where is your half cigar? There you go, half. Like 1/5 of Cohiba. So, what's the situation?
Today was a bit of a special day. And you know, we're planning to do this podcast with a guest in a penthouse in Paphos. But things got another turn. The podcast got cancelled. But I said to David, you know what, it's been a while. We have a few things we can talk on the camera, so let's do this podcast on our way back home. It's a long drive.
Kia.
It's almost a 1.5 hour drive from this point where we are right now.
Should we speak about the car situation? I mean, explain why we're on a Kia.
We can talk also about that one.
Alright, like, I don't want to talk about the whole story, but it's just we have some issues with our car, the Audi, so we are on a Kia Picanto.
No, actually, I want to talk about this because there is an interesting thing in that whole story.
Go.
Because
practice your storytelling skills. Intro, mid, and then.
First of all, I want to start the story saying that a few months ago we were looking to buy a car because we were thinking to stay in Cyprus for the next few months. And you know, when we were looking for cars, I remember David was all day searching for cars, sending me this, sending me that. That car has lower mileage, that is better condition, that has this, that has that. Meanwhile, my point of view was, David, let's just go and buy the first car we see in front of us. I don't want to complicate it too much. I don't care about saving 500,000 euros and buying a used car. Anyway, we're not looking for something to buy long term. We just want to get something to move around Cyprus for a few months until we get enough money to get the car that we actually want to get. So I kind of influenced David, and we kind of rushed into buying the first car we saw. I literally remember we saw an Audi A5. It was supposed to be in good condition and everything. David was like, should we look into any other cars? You know, we might be able to find something better. And I was like, David, I don't want to spend my time looking into cars. We can spend that time into building our business and just get the first car we find. because anyway we don't need for a lot of months. But it looks like the fact that I said we don't need for a lot of months was not as many months I had in my mind, as the car broke down after 1 month approximately. So
we were sitting on the car test drive. Anyway, after it, I'm like, all right, let's check it with the mechanic before we buy. I mean, it looks good, but let's check it first. It's like, no, man, there's no need. I mean, it feels good. You feel it when you're driving it. It's all good.
that was me. That was literally my words. I think that if we go back in time, that might be the exact sentence I said.
You know, man, you feel it if it has some problems.
But you know, it's the thing that everyone was telling us, you need to check the car. If you find a good car, it might last you for, 3, 4, 5 years. But I was like, fuck, I don't want to buy a used car and have it for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I want to buy something for the next 6, 7 months until I get enough money to buy what I want. But it looks like it didn't last 6 months, it lasted way shorter.
Engine problem, so the car is completely fucked up.
It's completely fucked up.
It's an engine, a big engine problem. And actually there was another sub-story into that, because at the beginning we were looking for some bullshit cars, like I was looking at Kia Picantos and shit. Why? Just because I was like, let's get a car that can move us. Then I realized, alright bro, like I'm 19. Do I want to flex my 0 point whatever the fuck Bitcoin in my Phantom wallet? Or do I want to have a fucking Audi, for example? So I realized maybe it's better to put more money, like I don't give a fuck, to put like even as much money as I have, to put it all into that, because it's worth it for the status and whatever. So we decided to put much more, so that's even more interesting, because it was a big investment and it lasted for 2 months.
It lasted 2 months.
But now, because
maybe less.
like I imagine a normal person would tell me, bro, like I bought a car, like they would go trauma about this story. We never really gave so many fucks about it. Like, it's not that I'm like, shit bro, I wasted all my money. Who gives a fuck? I mean, we'll make it back.
Hey, it's just a funny story, because had this point of view that we don't want the car for any months, and it lasted only a few weeks. But that's fine. We ended up renting a Kia Picanto for now until we see what we're going to do with the Audi.
Yeah, really, I wanted to see how to handle the car situation, but it's fine.
So that's the short story about the car, and this is how we ended up in a Kia Picanto. We kind of downgraded, but that's fine, that's part of life.
And actually, I definitely don't regret.
That's what I was about to say now.
Buy an Audi. There's, for example, for the money that we bought the Audi for, which was of course used car and not that new, it's the same amount of money that maybe some people could spend in a average bullshit car like a Fiat or a Mazda, whatever. But I think like just the idea of us trying to buy a car that is like above us, that pushes us to the next level, is interesting, because so many people, like, why would you spend 10, 20k on a fucking Mazda when you can buy a used car that is better? Because at least now you can feel like the person that drives the Audi, and you can understand that a lot of people want to drive a fast car, but they don't even put their effort into that. Like, if I wanted to get a very fast car, then I would try to get myself closer to that idea, not further. So that's why, for example, okay, I drove an Audi at 19. Who gives a fuck how much it lasted? I did it, and now I don't feel it weird for me to be the Audi driver at 19 years old. So even just that idea in my mind. And then another thing I actually wanted to say is about the fact that the car actually started having some warnings with the lights.
Some red flags.
But of course, for George words, it's just a light. Doesn't matter. Check engine, it's just a light. Oil level low, it's just a light. Doesn't matter.
The oil level was just a light.
Okay, maybe that one was broken, but whatever. But that's not the point. The point I was making is, at a certain point I said, look bro, there's a light, we need to bring it to the fucking mechanic. And you're like, no, it's just a light. And I'm like, okay, but then if it breaks, and you're like, if it breaks, it's a skill issue. I'm like, yeah, it's a skill issue of not bringing it to the fucking mechanic. And you said, no, it's a skill issue because we don't have enough money to afford a fucking new car or a car that doesn't break. And that's a fucking interesting point. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but that actually was very interesting for me to think it. Like, that's actually the case. Like, you want to drive an Audi, then make more money, buy a new fucking one Audi if you really want to make sure you don't have any problem. Otherwise, it's your skill issue in being a fucking brokey. Like, that's the root of the problem. The fact that the Audi was about to break was not the problem, but was the symptom of the
The
problem.
symptom of a problem.
So, yeah, that's another interesting situation.
But enough with the car. We have more interesting things we can talk about in this episode. So, where can we start from? Really, where can we start? So many things have happened in the past few weeks, and so many lessons we've learned, and there are so many directions we can get this conversation to. Really, I've learned a lot of things regarding relationship, regarding business, regarding people. So many things I've learned.
What did you learn, George? Enlighten us with your new knowledge.
For example, one lesson that we learned today is
Bro,
that
go slower, otherwise the people that don't hear shit, bro. This car is a fucking vibrator.
one lesson we learned today is that most people are pussies.
Even people that look successful. Actually, I've seen a lot of, now that we're getting into higher tiers of life, I see that even most people that are successful, they still have so many flags. That's why actually something like Andrew Tate ticked all the boxes. Like, you cannot say anything about it. Why? Because it's not just about having the money. It's about a bunch of different factors that all add up. Whereas there's a lot of people that actually can become good at making money, but then
They are fucking losers.
maybe they do drugs, or maybe they become depressed because they lose their purpose, or maybe they stop going to the gym, or maybe they lose time changing diapers. A bunch of factors where people can get lost, and so it's a never-ending challenge. And for people to be at the top tier where you actually tick all the boxes, like, the challenge never finishes.
And also, one thing I realized on this topic is that, you know, once a man loses his purpose in life, literally that's the point where he becomes depressed, and the point where he loses the point of life, and the point where, you know, he starts going down. As soon as a man doesn't have purpose, he doesn't go after it, that's pretty much the end of his life.
Yeah.
What follows after it? How can you live life without having a purpose, without putting yourself into never-ending challenges, without constantly breaking new limits, learning something new, putting yourself in the uncomfortable decision?
Yeah.
That's how most men feel depressed. They feel like they have lost the meaning of life and all of this other depressing philosophical bullshit.
Yeah. They survive, but they do not live. You know, like, you can still survive, you're still alive, like, you still carry on,
But you don't live.
but you don't live.
So yes, that's one interesting thing we learned the last few days. And also, one more thing I want to talk about on that topic. Now we're talking about the comfortable option and putting yourself into challenges. One realization that I've come in the past few days, and it's a thing we've talked about, David, because I think I've had in my mind the last few days, weeks, is that I think that as human beings, we are hardwired, we are made by nature in a way to always choose a comfortable option. From the smallest thing up until the biggest decision in our lives. Even if we want to choose the discomfortable option, our brain is hardwired to always go with the comfortable option. No matter what it is, no matter if it's getting the car to go somewhere, if it's very simple shit, very simple shit. And once you start realizing every decision you make, why you make it, you will start understanding the fact that most of the decisions you make are because they were the most comfortable option. Even when it comes to training, even when it comes to business, when it comes to closing deals, fucking everything.
To leaving trash in the car. It's deeper than what you think. The first time you told me, I'm like, alright, yeah, cool. I mean, I've heard it already, but it's actually deeper than that.
It's actually way deeper than that. Way deeper than that. I think that everyone, if he makes some self-analysis, and he's going to see analysis, he's going to see why he's making every decision he's making in his life. It's because it's a comfortable option. And comfort literally kills you. Aston Martin. Aston fucking Martin. Whoa. Let's race this motherfucker with our Kia Picanto.
You know, that's another example of like, you know, when I said before about the fact of we bought an Audi, now I feel like the person that drives an Audi. Even when I have a normie car, I see a Lambo, I try to chase it. Like you can testify that I race the cars that like I race BMW, I race everything, bro. I don't give a fuck, man. Like I take the challenge, even if I know I'm gonna lose. I take the challenge.
Let's look at the Aston for a second.
Yes, fuck, crazy. This is low-key crazy. Turn down the window and speak with them. Bro. Oh my god. Holy shit. This is another example of, you know, a lot of people they see it, they try to, like, they're jealous and then they close themselves and they try to forget. Ah, lucky boy. Parents' money.
Why? Because it's a comfortable option. It's comfortable for your brain to think, okay, he has money because he's in the mafia, he's doing drugs. It's comfortable for your brain to think that. Meanwhile, accepting the reality and saying, no, he has money because he worked his ass off, because he did X, Y, Z, he's the person I am not yet. This is the uncomfortable option. It's just a random example that proves my point before, that as human beings we are hardwired to always choose a comfortable thing. Something as simple as that, and if I start finding examples, I can find so many things.
Give me a few.
I just gave you one. There's no reason to go to find other examples. It's not like I'm going to prove my point furthermore.
How did you realize this thing? Like you realized it from your life, or how? In what moment did that realization come through?
Good question. I realized it in the business, because I saw that many times when it came to client work or when it came to closing deals, and something as simple as, I don't know, for example, yesterday we had a bad client which we wanted to disqualify, but we didn't disqualify him, we didn't tell him to fuck off because it was the uncomfortable option. It was not easy for us to go and to say someone, hey, fuck off, we don't want to work with you, you pay us little money. So we chose a comfortable option, which was to go there and act like everything is fine and fool ourselves. It was a comfortable option.
Interesting example.
It's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about something I thought while you were speaking. And this is an interesting fact. 2 or 3 years down the line, I was in high school and I was studying for an English exam that I wanted to take to get a certification. I just put as a goal to learn English very well. I was very bad and I put the goal to get to a certain level, which was very high. But it doesn't matter. That's all bullshit certificates. I mean, I don't give a fuck. But like, just the idea that I took that challenge seriously and how I handled the challenge was more of the point that I'm trying to make here. The thing is that I'm saying is, at the end of this whole thing, I realized that a lot of people are lazy, and laziness kills a lot of people, a lot of ambition. But that's a great thing, because that means that in life, if you only do one thing right, like if you only have one difference from most of the people, you're set. Like if whatever the fuck else, if you make sure you're never lazy. It's pretty inevitable that you're gonna make something good in your life. It's just one thing. And I know it's very hard to not be lazy in most cases. You know, I know that some days you're tired, some days you have headaches, some days you have this and that. But if you only do one thing, it's crazy how far you can go. And it's only one thing if you think about it. Just not do one thing. It's hard, but it's actually simple.
As simple as it sounds, so complicated in reality.
Yeah.
So complicated because it's not so easy to do that. And one thing that I'm realizing right now is that really life is a never-ending thing. What is happening? Oh,
7 cars in a row at the shoulder of the road.
police was in his good days. They want to give some tickets.
There's no way it's 7 tickets.
No, you think to the police?
Yeah, but it was not 7 tickets in a row. Like, no. Anyway, what else did you learn, Mr. George?
Yeah, one thing I started talking about is that life is literally a never-ending race. That it is a business because, you know, at the beginning thought that this path would be easier. This path would be more simple. Okay, I'm going to push myself a little bit, close a few clients, and then that's it. Things will start rolling. But actually, I'm realizing now that the more the business is growing, the harder it's getting. The harder it's getting to find higher quality clients, the harder it's getting to maintain these high quality clients, the harder it's getting to find more, to make more money, to outsource, find the good people to work for you. It's literally the deeper you get into it, the harder it's getting. So if you are a guy that's what, a man or a woman or a non-binary or whatever you want to say yourself, you are in the path of building a business or trying to build something great in general, you have to realize at some point that it's going to be harder than what you actually think at the beginning.
I don't think a non-binary would ever make the choice of building a business.
You never know, just for the sake of the...
Because they cannot incorporate them. What do they put?
I want you to call me it's their Xi.
Pronouns LTD, LTD, or whatever the fuck.
So yes, to come back to the conversation, life is harder than what you actually think, and it's never ending.
I'll give an example, bro, some food for thoughts. The other day we were sparring with a person and he told me he's in a different business model. He's actually in dropshipping, and without the need to make any names, no disrespect to this person, of course. I asked him, okay, bro, business is good. How much are you working? Like, actually asked, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? He's like, yeah, I don't work too much, approximately 4 hours a day. Some days 2, some days 6. And then I said, okay, what do you do the rest of the time? He's like, yeah, I sleep, I train, and sometimes I go out.
I was not into that.
Yeah, you were not there, like you were probably in the bathroom or something.
Probably taking a shit.
But yeah, that was interesting. Like, I'm like, alright, cool. And at that moment I realized, all these times where I struggle, I don't know if what we're doing is the best business model. And what does even best business model mean? Like, for me it's the best because it's not about like working less. And one good thing about this business we're doing is that we're building a relationship, we're doing something real. Like, it's not on a screen, it's actually real. Although it's digital, the work that we do, it's mostly real connections, real people, and that's a nice thing. But that aside, again, I realize that maybe it's a good thing, and how grateful I am for the fact that I'm getting to a point where it's hard, because that's exactly what I wanted. But what do you think, Yorgo, about this conversation?
Yeah, I agree with that. And the last sentence you said, it's something I would like to talk about. The fact that, I feel like what we are building right now, it's kind of something important. You know, all the people we meet, the networking we make, we literally meet people that make millions. Their peers make millions, if not tens of millions per year. I feel so good that, you know, we get the chance to work with these guys and network with them and get connect with them on a personal level. Because I think it all comes down to, it's a cliche saying, I know, but it's what they say, that, you know, you are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. Now, if you look at the circle of our clients, our friends and everything, we are starting to build a very good network, and I really like this.
Yeah, bro, the way we're doing this thing is completely different from everybody. Like, literally, we build personal relationships with every client. We go to the restaurant with them. We go to the beach with them. They invite us to smoke
their
shisha
house
with them. It's a whole different thing. We build businesses with them, and that's crazy. Like, it's not just being on a Google Meet, even with a successful person. It's like you shake their hand, you see them, you're next to them, you have eye contact. Like, it's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing. And one thing I would like to talk about on this topic is again another conversation we had a few days ago, and realization I came to. That's one of the many that George, you know, trying to get meanings out of many things. But yeah, one very important thing when it comes to trying to network or build relationships is to become the person that the other party wants to hang around with. To become a person that everyone likes, that people love to talk with you, people love spending time with you. This is so important. This is so important. And this doesn't come just from one thing, it's everything. It's your energy, your aura, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. It's everything. And if you become that person, the person that everyone wants to be around with, you can connect with great people. You can connect with great people.
True. I learned that from you a few days ago. I'm actually trying to implement it on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, and it's amazing. If you become that person, it's amazing. And it helps you also in your real life, whether it's friends, relationship with women, your family. You need to be the guy that everyone wants to hang around with and everyone wants to talk to and spend time with. How do you do it? I don't know. It's what I said. It's a bit of everything. It's the way you talk, your energy. Yeah, I think the energy is the most important thing. The energy. You need to always give a positive energy. Do not be depressed. Do not be sad. To, you know, go into. Let's say that, you know, we have a meeting with a client. We go into them, and you see how their mood is literally shifting. How we make jokes with them. We make fun. We talk about business, about making money. So many things are coming out of these relationships we are building. We get proposals to work with them for more, to open new businesses. We even got a proposal to get shares of a company that we are starting with right now in Cyprus. It's amazing. It all comes down to be the people that people want to work with, not just spend time with, but people who want to work with and love doing business with.
Yeah, and not just work with. For example, the client that is giving us a lot more clients. It's because he feels that energy, and he's like, I see you guys not just to work with, but as friends. And that's why I try to help you as much as possible. And he's giving us the best clients we could ever get.
Exactly. So yeah, that's another realization we came to in the last few days. One of the many. Now, what's the next thing we can talk about? Should we move into the subject that you know, almost no one is talking about, with the relationship and the men and women stuff? This is again another conversation we had a few days ago.
Enlighten me, I don't remember.
Okay, I'm going to enlighten you, don't worry. I'll give you my light. So, I don't want to get deep into that story because I don't know if some people involved in the story are going to watch this
Yeah, just
episode.
don't know the personal. Just
But you know, one realization we came to, we had this conversation also the past few days, was the fact that, you know, women are hardwired again by their human nature as women only to think about themselves. Meanwhile, men, again, are built by nature in a way do not put themselves as the first priority, to put as priority their family, the business, their career, their woman, and all of these other things. And you can see it in so many cases. Now again, I don't want to talk about a specific story that brought me to this realization.
Please don't.
Because,
Don't.
as they say in Greek, we don't mention names, we don't insult families. But yes, I think that if you look into every relationship, the woman is going to take actions thinking only about herself and what's the best thing for her. Meanwhile, the man is going to take actions to make his woman happy, to make his kids happy, to make his business grow, to make his career better, and all of these other things.
But is that actually always the case, that a woman is always wired to think about herself? Let's say you enter the house of a friend and the woman tells you, are you hungry, whatever. In that moment she's not thinking about herself. So is that like a general thing? Will you generalize that statement?
I think that this is the human nature of how women are built. I don't want to say that every woman is operating that way. For example, as I said before, as human beings, we're hardwired to choose a comfortable option. That doesn't mean that every single human being is choosing the comfortable option in his day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And the
just
same
a
goes with
tendency,
women.
let's say they're tending
Exactly.
towards that, and I do agree with that statement.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yes, I don't want to talk about the story. But yes, this is the stuff that you don't see many people talk about. Okay, I've heard Andrew talk about this topic and bringing some specific examples, about women and war, and how women in World War II, they were leaving their men to go with the Germans or with any other country that was winning the war, because they were only thinking about their safety, what's the best thing for them. But in general, these are not topics you see many people talk about. And it's stuff you see on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, it makes sense. That's that's how human species survive. Women are wired to think about themselves and to think, I want my man to go there for my safety, and the man is hardwired to go to war for the safety of the woman. And why? Because this is how pussies remain alive, and that's how kids are born. Because otherwise there would be no kids and no growth of the population.
Exactly.
So it does make sense on a evolutional aspect of things.
Yeah, that's another topic I wanted to bring up in the podcast without bringing up very specific, very specific examples. Pretty much we covered all of the topics I had in my mind, as we were saying that we are going to do the podcast.
Headache. What do you think about headache?
It's for females.
Headache is for females and
For
children.
females.
And I've heard at least 10 times an interesting speech from Andrew Tate where he says a very interesting thing. He's saying, I'm not saying that your head doesn't hurt or that you're not feeling the pain. But what I'm saying is, you don't have time to have headache. You feel this, you feel that. You're driving a Capicanto. You have to get something done. Job has to get done. Doesn't matter how headache you have. Doesn't matter about all of that. Job needs to get done. Somebody will get it done. Choose whether to be you and to put your name on top of it, or to be somebody else. It's pretty much that simple. It's not that you don't have the headache. That would be not true. Like some days I do feel headache. I do feel my head pounding. But what you want to do with it? And then also it's interesting to think, why do you have headache? Now, besides like I don't know, potential genetical reasons. Why do you have headache? Like mostly, even for me, when I used to have headache in the past, why? Because you spend too much time on your fucking phone doing some bullshit. And if it was headache because you spend too much time on your computer doing the work, if it actually is too much, that means you got your work done. But like, it's then you get the work done and then you realize you have a headache. It's not like I have everything, so I'm done. If you really get to a point where you cannot work anymore, that means that you're rich or that you did everything you were supposed to do. That's what I mean. Like if you really get to the point of burnout, that means you're making at least 10K a month. Otherwise, you're not really burned out.
Yeah, this burnout shit most of the time is a bullshit. It's a bullshit. And one topic I want to circle back to is, the importance of surrounding yourself with not only successful guys and people that make money, but surrounding yourself with actual killers. People that, they do whatever it takes. People that are very hardworking. People that don't find excuses. People that don't have headaches. For example, as a man, how can you have friends that are pussies, that have a headache, that, they're not ready for war or action 24/7? And this topic, I want to bring up a specific example. The story we had today where, we're out with a friend who's making very good money, has a very successful business. He's a lot of steps ahead of us in terms of business revenue and all of this other stuff. But while we're out, he's saying that, I have this headache, I cannot do this anymore, we're not going to film videos, I have a headache, and all of this stuff. Now, I don't want to criticize that person, don't get me wrong, but as a man, how can you hang around these guys from the thing that, literally at any point in your day, no matter where you are, if you're in the beach bar, if you're out working, if you're out in the car, many things can happen at any time and things can take a very bad turn. And at this point, you don't want to have people around you that, have headache, are not going to perform their best in a life or death situation. So it's very important to only hang around people that are actual fucking killers and are actually trying their best. And on this example, literally the two guys I have spent the majority of my time with are two guys, that are not making good money. They are working 9 to 5s, but they do bodybuilding, and they work so fucking hard on it, so fucking hard. They work as hard as I've seen someone work in my fucking life. I really doubt that there's someone out there working harder than these guys are. And even though these guys are not making good money or they're not successful yet, I think they will be very soon. I'm so happy to surround myself with these two people because they are actual fucking killers. And they motivate me so much. They motivate me so much from the output they're getting from the work and than the amount of work they're putting and all of the effort they're putting.
It's actually an interesting point because you said they don't motivate me from the output. A lot of people, when they, for example, go online and see rich people, they are motivated from the output. They're not motivated from the input. It's actually an interesting thing I never heard anybody talking about. To be motivated from the input rather than the output. You don't want to be motivated by that guy flexing the Lambo. You want to be more motivated by that guy putting his whole art into something and be like, shit, I want to be that guy. I want to have that purpose rather than being, I want to have that Ferrari or that whatever.
Exactly.
It's a very interesting difference.
Exactly. For example, about these two specific guys, I'm 100% sure that there are millions of people out there that have way better bodies than them, but I don't think that there are millions of people out there working harder than these two guys. So this is why I get motivated from the input rather than the output.
Cool. 39 minutes in. Interesting value being shared.
Yeah. Interesting lessons.
Do we got some more?
We can figure out something more, but I don't want to kind of
Yeah, I don't want to force it.
push.
No, we're talking about the past, we're talking about the present. How about the future? What do you think about the future
The future of what? Our business.
of everything?
Yes, as for the business, I'm pretty positive with how things are going. That every day we're getting closer and closer, no matter how hard it's getting. Right now we're in a very critical point, which which can either make or break our business and our selves as well.
I'll give an interesting question.
Yes.
At the moment, we're driving a Kia.
Yes.
Money in the bank, like it, whatever. It doesn't matter the number, whatever. But in this situation, really, like there's a lot of potential outcomes. A lot of people, by watching our life externally without being inside our minds, would just think, okay, these guys are normal people. Like in a few years, they could be.
That's
like
what I
anybody else.
want to talk about.
No, what I want to tell you is,
Move on.
I know inside of my mind that in whatever amount of years I'll be driving a supercar, whatever. But whatever. Actually, I should have asked you. Do you think there's any chance of you not succeeding in life?
No. No. If I think there is any chance of not succeeding in this specific business,
In life,
I think it's
doesn't matter.
extremely unlikely.
It's extremely unlikely, but in general, it doesn't
Yes.
matter. But you say no, and I also think no, and I knew you would answer no. But that's actually very interesting because watching from externally, a lot of people like don't really see anything to say. You know, okay, they can see if they understand, but a lot of people wouldn't understand. If you talk to a normal person and you tell them, of course I'll drive whatever fucking car I fucking want, they'll be like, bro, chill out, like be realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, be realistic. Although, realistically, normies would think that realistically it's impossible. I think that realistically it's impossible to not succeed. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. And what I was about to say on this thing is that, you know, there's a difference between not succeeding in one specific task, and there's a difference between not succeeding in the long term and the whole path, the whole journey you are into. Many things can go wrong. The business now might fail, but that doesn't mean we're going to give up or we're going to stop or not search or start something else. And I want to expand on that topic a little bit because it's what I was trying to expand before you made that question. What I like more about the whole journey we are into right now is not so much the fact that we're making more money as the months go by, but it's the fact that, you know, I see ourselves and myself, you know, kind of becoming the person I want to become in terms of building relationship, in terms of becoming more interesting, in terms of learning all the new sales skills, understanding human psychology, and all of this other stuff. Because once you gain these skills, even if you lose everything, you know that the skill you have or the mindset, the knowledge you have, you're not going to lose at any point in your life. So even if that specific business fails, you can use all of your knowledge, your experience, the mistakes you've made in order to start something better and more successful. So I really love that in the journey we are seeing, and I literally feel it. The fact that, you know, as the time is going by, we are evolving and we are changing towards something better.
Yeah. It's about the person you become.
About the person you are becoming, exactly. It's about the person you are becoming. Let's say, for example, you know, the experience we have achieved some very basic sales skills. We have some very basic understanding of business, how to close deal, how things operate, how you need to split things and everything. So even if that business fails, these skills we still have them. So if the business fails, we can start another business on a different, very different, even landscaping, installing cameras, anything, and we can make it very successful. The most important thing you can invest is yourself, especially in your earlier life. Because if you build yourself, then you can do everything you fucking want, no matter what it is. If you build yourself in terms of mindset, skills, and learning something useful to provide value to the world.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you build the skills, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, let's say that the business fails. We end up being in a very bad situation tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
We can still figure out something. We have we can find very good sales job to make some money, take that money and reinvest into a business. And then boom, here we go again.
Yeah.
Literally, you have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. The worst case scenario is the scenario you start at the beginning. You cannot go below that.
Makes sense. So I mean, even if you step back with the business, doesn't mean you're stepping back with the person you're becoming. Therefore, you'll bounce back up in one way or the other.
Even it can be the opposite. Even if that business fails, it might be a great lesson for us. Because that business fail is going to fail for a reason. Because we were not.
Sorry, pause the video. Yeah.
I don't know which part exactly you paused, but I was saying that because if the business fails, it's not because the business failed by itself, but because we as person made the business fail. So we're going to get a great lesson from it, great value, which we can use it later at building another business. So I might as well say the opposite, that even failing a business can be a good thing for you.
Yeah. Interesting perspective. All right. Fair and square.
Should we call it for today?
Yeah.
So that's it. Very nice conversation. Kind of talking about everything. You know, now that I say talking about everything, also one more thing I've noticed is that, you know, many times talking about your goals is a cheap dopamine. Many people, every single person you're going to ask what's your goal, what you're going to do in life, everyone is going to tell you so many bullshit. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to start my business, I want to do this. Because talking about your goals is comfortable.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable option. Everyone loves talking. It's cheap dopamine, you know, talking about I want to make this money, I want to move there, I want to travel. It's cheap dopamine. It makes you think about what you want to do, so it kind of makes you happy.
Yeah.
Temporarily, but it's not real happiness. Meanwhile, what is not cheap dopamine is actually fucking doing the work to get that dream come true.
And I've got something to say in that regard, because we're realizing with the business core lesson, which is solve rich people's problems because they pay more and because it's just better, and the clients that pay the least are the clients that have the most headache. Now, why is that related with what you said? It is related because, like I said, a lot of people have goals, but that's cheap dopamine. And I think, before I tell you what I think,
I can see where this is going.
you say solve rich people's problems, and you might argue, well, that's not just, because I mean, poor people need more help, and why would you help rich people? But that's not true. And it's not just about rich people just in having the money, it's about more of the person they are. So what I want to say is, if you really want to become successful, and if you really have goals that you want to achieve, and it's not just you saying it for cheap dopamine, you at least have some track of results that people can see. For the same example of before, we at least try to buy an Audi, we at least try to go to the next level and push yourself forward and put more money than what we could spend on a car and whatever the fuck. We at least try to do something extra, we at least try to make the extra money here and there. And so a lot of these people that are poor, they don't want to help themselves, and they just talk, because if they really wanted to help themselves, although they might not know anything about Facebook ads, and they might not still be working with the best marketing agency ever, which is us, they still should have figured out something that could help them in some way. They still could have found ways out to solve their problems. Maybe not in the best solution, maybe not yet to the highest level that they wanted, but they will still have some symptoms of results from the action that they took. So that's why you want to solve rich people's problems, because the car you drive an exception.
Yeah,
Or maybe not an exception. All these little details, they do play a role because these are all symptoms of the fact that you're showing me that it's more likely that you're a hardworking person. Now, you never know 100%. Maybe the broke in the street is the hardest working person, but that's not very likely. So these are all symptoms, and you want to look at the symptoms to understand the person. We had a guy that we spoke with, he said, no guys, I drive a humble car. He was pretending to be rich. That motherfucker. Because I was about
me from my belongings.
Yes, I was about to close a big deal, but then they saw the car I drove and they canceled the deal, and I don't want people to like me for. Bro, that's all bullshit. If you get to a higher level, you want people to judge you from what you own, at least to a certain extent, of course.
It's like having a good body and not wearing a tank top to show it.
Yeah, you want people to judge you based on your body. You have a good body, that means you work your ass off. That means you're a hard-working person. You have a good car, that means
Amazing point.
you're a fucking good person. Like, you work for it and you provided value. Poor people think he has a good car, he's a greedy person because he got more money than other people. Other people like us, they see a rich person with a big car and they think, damn, this guy must be very interesting and very smart and very useful to humanity, because if he wasn't useful, he would have not provided enough value, which is exchanged to money, because for him to make money, he needs to provide an equal amount of value to society. So that means that he's more useful, and the fact that you're broke is because you're useless like a piece of shit.
Amazing point. I really liked it. And also one more thing that I want to talk about on this topic is the fact that you cannot help everyone. You cannot help everyone no matter how much you want to. Because some people, they very simply don't want to help themselves. And if someone doesn't want to help themselves and is not trying to help himself, no matter how much input you're going to put, it's going to lead nowhere.
The example that we gave before of the client we want to disqualify, where like you need to call the leads when they come, and not just when they come, but you need to call the leads. This is just an example of marketing, but any example. Like, and he's like, no, I will not call the leads. I don't have time. Yeah, I just send a message. It's easy.
Why he doesn't want to call the leads? Because it's not a comfortable option.
And then we arrive at the meeting yesterday. He's there, sitting on the table, chilling, reading a book, Atomic Habits.
Oh, another amazing topic. Oh, another amazing thing.
Before
we can
talking
talk
about books, why you have time to read a book in front of your fucking business while it's operating on a working hour?
Big underwater.
And you're underwater and you're there crying that we're too expensive, while you are the client paying the least among all of our clients. And you don't want to help yourself. Guys, I really care about this business, but I don't know why it's not going well. Why you don't fucking listen to what we're telling you? Why you don't listen? Because you know it's right, but you just don't want to do it.
Because it's not comfortable.
It's easier to read in the book that it's good to fucking be disciplined or whatever than to actually be disciplined in the fucking real life.
Cheap dopamine. It's like reading books. It's like talking about your goals. It's cheap dopamine.
Pretty much. I think there's a little bit of exception there, but pretty much
yes.
I would agree with that one. Like for me, I think like at 16 years old, picking up my first books like was a shift in my mind of, you know, at 6, actually the first book I ordered was at 14 about investing. Why would I read about bullshit? Like, I don't even have fucking euro. Why would I read about investing? You understand? It's stupid. But me at 14, with nobody ever reading, and if you go to high school, whatever, you say that you're reading, you're a nerd. Like, you're a geek. Me having, and everybody thinks, including my parents, that I'm one of these people that don't like to read, because you're although the parents tell you, yeah, you should read, they know that if you read, you're like, what the fuck? Like, you're actually gonna read? Like, you know, they tell you to do it, but then if you actually do it, like, they're like, what the fuck? Like, why are you reading? Nobody's reading at your age. So just the choice of me, like, picking that book is, and then, like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, whatever, that these useless books, but, like, at the same time, is what got me into this whole journey, atmosphere, to speak. Now, did the books help me by themselves? Not really, but for me it was more like, although books were cheap dopamine, for example, I use books as a goal. For example, goal for 2020, whatever, read this amount of books. Which, although the amount of the books would have been useless, for me to put my time and to do it, I didn't like to read, but I did it anyway. Was it useful? Not at all. But okay, it was a challenge for me. Like, it's just the challenge itself, not about what I was reading, but just reading itself. Yes. I put myself the goal. I think it was 2023 to read 52 books, one book per week. It was very tough. But I don't remember a fucking book, even a single book I read. Probably. Like, if I think about it, yeah. But for every book, you remember no more than one sentence. Like, you remember what it's talking about generally. So it's kind of useless. I agree. But for me, it was more like, all right, I put a goal and I achieved it. That was more of the thing. But no, going back, of course, it was better to put a goal of something more useful. Maybe if somebody told me instead put a goal on martial arts, for example, it would be much more useful. But I didn't have that advice, I didn't know, so that's what I did. But it's fine. If you at least try, you learn along the way. Like, you fix your mistakes.
Yeah, it's true. You need to try.
Like raw action. I don't know what to do. Alright, I'll read a book. Alright, I realized that reading books is useless. Alright, whatever, fuck it. Let's do something else. But yeah.
Yes, that's the main point we want to talk about. That I think reading books is useless. It's a scam. It's a scam, and I think many people overvalue the whole book reading thing. That I read books.
But I also was reading because a lot of rich people tell you to read. You know, there's so many people. These are the 10 books that changed my life, that made me a millionaire by 18. So like, I kind of fell into that narrative. Why do these people do these things? Probably because they know deep down it's cheap dopamine, and that's why they try to feed it into you, to be the guys giving you the cheap dopamine to make you feel better about yourself and sell you a course at the end. Maybe that's the case.
Look, I also read like I think 4 books in total. I don't want to say it's completely a bad thing, but reading books is not work. Reading books is not going to make you money. Reading books is not going to make you have a better body. Reading books is not going to grow your business. Reading books is just a value of entertainment. It's a form of entertainment.
And although there might be some lessons, it is much better for you to get these lessons from real life than
You cannot get lessons from books.
And all the lessons that I learned in the book, I realized in real life I didn't really learn them, because you learn them only when you practice them. We cannot learn from, like Andrew said, you can either learn the hard way or the hardest. And, bro, that's a camera. And the only way to learn the hard way, that was
it didn't flash.
The only way to learn the hard way is to do it the hard way, so to go through life.
Exactly, reading books is a scam. Go out there and live your fucking life. I literally don't regret, not reading books in my earlier life and focusing more on martial arts, on bodybuilding, and all of this other stuff and spend time.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do it because I don't really know what goal to put. If you don't know what to do, I literally a raw action. I go for a run, do some extra push-ups, whatever, it doesn't matter, but like, do something real. Sitting down is not doing something. Just the action itself is not an action. Moving your eyes is not something. So do something real that requires physical action.
And even if you will not use it, you will get at least a lesson.
Cool, so we said we would stop it before, and then we got some extra very good lessons over there.
And the appreciative will keep telling you we'll find more.
Yeah, like, when you start talking about something, then it opens another door. Pretty much like this thing that I'm saying, that it opens another door in the discussion of when you start a business, you have very few things in front of you, and then as you go, you open the opportunities so much. How many opportunities do we have right now?
It's amazing.
Like, literally, every business we work with, because we have very good connections with it, we could literally be part of that business. We have at least 20 job opportunities that if we make a call, we tell them, look bro, I really want to focus on your business, I want to help you 100%, can you hire me? Boom, done. Problem. I'm just saying, we can get as involved as we want in the businesses, and we have so many opportunities that we could take. And we just need to choose which ones are the best. We just need to balance them and choose how to allocate our energy in the best way. But for sure, there's a lot of ways to
And this
allocate.
comes back to what I was saying before about becoming a useful person and getting the skills. If you do this, there is no worst case scenario in your life. Even if everything goes wrong, you have so many roads you can follow. You have so many roads you can follow. Because you have the skills, you know what to do, what moves to make.
Shit.
Yeah. I think that might be it for today. Very nice conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, I want to circle back to one last topic before we stop this recording. Is the fact that you know the difference between what we are doing now and what most people trying to sell bullshit courses out there doing. Because you know most people try to motivate you from the outcome they are getting. Meanwhile, what we are doing right now is literally just documenting our life, documenting our journey, lessons we are getting along the way. So if someone is going to ask me why you make this conversation, it's literally to motivate people from the input.
And that's
I'm
more
getting-
rare, and that's why people don't want to watch it, and that's why very few people actually become successful, because very few people get motivated by the input.
Yeah, but that's life. That's life. If you will put a lot of input, at some point you will get the output. So you need to be judged on the output also. If we were to say all of these things, meanwhile we're not making any money per month, yeah, it would be bullshit.
Yeah, like I said before, that's why I'm like help rich people, because if they have a supercar, that means they got something right in their life.
Exactly.
So like I'm not saying don't focus on the output, because the output can give an indication that he's the person that you should listen to. That's why Andrew is so respected, because I see him and I think, well, he's exactly the person
I want to become.
I don't know. Probably he's pretty much the person I want to become. So maybe I should listen to him. Maybe I should listen to his inputs though, to what he says to input, not just on how many cars he has. Right, bro. We call it night. You might not listen to this speech now, but you will in the future. And you will be like, shit, these guys were right. I know, bro. Alright, how do you want to close it?
Just by making a quick sum of all the main points. It's going to be harder than what you actually think it is, and the deeper you're getting into it, the harder it's going to get. Don't be afraid to spend money on cars.
On?
On cars for
Yeah.
the Audi, the lesson we got over there. Don't be afraid to fail.
To spend money in general.
Spend money in general, yes. Don't be afraid to fail and take decisions. Even if they fail, you will get lessons out of it. Become a more interesting person. As simple as a point, so complicated at the same time. Because it's very difficult to become a more interesting person. Learn how to provide value. Most of women care about themselves. Most men care about their family and their business, their career, and about everyone else they have around them. You cannot help everyone. Very good point into that. You can help only people that actually want to help themselves. Good business makes good friends. Help rich people's problems. The cheapest clients are always the most annoying and the most pain in the ass. What else were the main?
And an extra point for the people that watch so far is networking is very important, and like a real networking, not like bullshit networking. There's a little difference over there.
We talked about it, yes.
Networking is crazy, and people move in teams. We're seeing now, like as we're growing the connections, even just with our clients, how doors open. So crazy thing, and we talked about it. Connect to the fact of the high energy type of shit, because that will help you really network and get to higher levels. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for this episode. I can't wait to see when and when we're going to make the next one. We have literally no idea where we're going to be even tomorrow. At this point, life is very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. That's how it should be. Always put yourself in challenges. Always put yourself to choose the uncomfortable option. Realize the fact that your brain is hardwired to choose a comfortable option. Oh, we made a lot of points in this conversation. A lot of points.
That's at least like 15 episodes we were there.
Yes.
All in one.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it.
It flew well. Not as mechanical as before. Just being limited to one topic would not be the best thing.
Yeah, you also talked about that thing the other day when we were discussing with our supposed podcast guest, you know, what we're going to say about in the podcast, in the episode. And I told him, you know, in podcasts, I don't like too much scripted. I don't like don't have like having ready questions and all of this other stuff. I really want to make the conversation flow naturally, as if it was going to flow if we're talking together. Because literally, what we said right now is conversation we had in the past few days. So that we are bullshitting or we are trying to act something.
True. Alright. All good. Let's go. New week is about to come. And we're about to conquer.
Yeah, exactly. That was a cheap dopamine word, sentence, but exactly. You know what, now that we're talking about this cheap dopamine, you literally see it every year or every month even sometimes, where people say, oh, a new month, we're going to crash, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, this month, this, that, this week, this, that, today I want to do this, blah, blah, cheap dopamine. You can literally spend the time you took to think and talk into actually doing action. It's actually going to bring you closer into where you want to be. So that's it for now. We have tried to wrap it up 5 times up until now. So let's wrap it up officially. Stay safe. As I hope that this guy in the bike will stay safe. Yeah, hope that at least we provide some value to this conversation. We might even help someone or motivate it. That's the whole reason why we're doing it.
Let's go. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi.